mata sa kabuntagon, cellphone dayon abrihon. Scroll like share ang buhaton, pero tinod ko jud ang i-share na information.
Remember one thing, nothing lasts forever.
If you don't vibe with me, then you're missing out.
I hear them talking behind my back. At least there's a reason why they're behind me.
I love tennis. I hate small talks.
To inform and to provide the safest solicitude. This is SidlaKom Podcast. Presented by Norsus Society of Student Communicators. With your hosts, your college chick Hazel, your biggie Tamtams, your comforter Raymart, and witty gal Zyle. On air and kicking for this week's episode. Good day everyone and welcome to the very first episode ng the SidlaKom Podcast, brought to you by the Society of Student Communicators ng Negros Oriental State University. I am Biggie Tamtams.
This is your college chick Hazel.
I am your comforter Raymart.
And this is your witty gal Sal.
And ulit, welcome to the SidlaKom Podcast. Now, this podcast is off to a solid start by giving our listeners a brief overview of us on that introduction. Now, everyone's inventiveness has definitely boosted my mood.
That's right, Ram. I totally agree with you. And I am so excited to offer a ton of facts and personal experiences for today's episode. We spent days putting a lot of preparation into this podcast, and finally, we will be able to share what we have prepared today.
Oo nga naman. So, how are you doing, guys? How's school? Kamusta kayo? How's life?
So far,
Grabe, ang
lumalaban pa
daming
rin.
deadline.
Overwhelmed
Di ba,
sa
Ram?
mga
Ang daming
requirements.
deadline talaga.
Well,
Yes.
that's fine. Parang naka-default na kasi siya sa student na, marami talaga tayong gagawin. And considering how far technology has come, I'm beyond grateful that I can reach out to all of you so quickly despite na busy ako sa life. You know what? We can communicate with one another via social media despite the distance. Sabi nga nila, pag gusto, may paraan, pero pag ayaw, maraming dahilan. Additionally, with the use of social media and the internet, we can search up topics that we want to be more knowledgeable about, especially now that we are conducting the first ever podcast of SidlaKom in celebration of the Media Literacy Week.
Yes, and distinguishing false information disseminated on the internet from factual and credible sources makes us literate. So even if gamay ra na siya kahit nothing for us na i-point out if ever we are reading a not credible information, but it is very big deal for us to be a media literate. And in consuming that information we have in our daily basis for the betterment of ourselves and the people around us, we should know what media literacy is as a first step to be users that are more responsible and wiser.
So ang ganda talaga, no? And anyway, by all means, we actually gathered a massive number of entries on what media literacy is on the lives of our fellow communicators. Para may, may interaction naman. So, in celebration with the Media Literacy Week. But first, before tayo mo-proceed dyan, try nga natin oral recitation.
May pa-oral. May pa-oral. Go. Drop the question.
Sige, try natin. Para sa inyo,
Sure.
what is media literacy?
I'll answer first. For me, media literacy is the ability to access, to analyze, and to logically evaluate information in the media, specifically in the variety forms of media.
Yes, I
What
agree
do you
with you.
guys?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. And for me, media literacy, it teaches us students to apply critical thinking to media messages, most especially that every day we gathered messages or we received a lot of messages. Media, it helps us to create our own messages, regardless of our points and opinions.
Totoo lahat ng sinabi niyo guys, and media literacy is significant in our everyday lives since it helps us to understand media and how media influences us in so many ways. We just have to keep in mind that we have to classify what content is worth obtaining or not. May it be connected to our academic consumptions for our education, the news that we need for awareness and up to date details, the whereabouts of our favorite artists on a daily basis, and other information that mold us to be wise in gathering this data.
So I definitely agree sa lahat ng mga sagot, and media literacy is very important yun. It's very crucial sa atong society at this time. And by definition, it actually allows people to comprehend media messages now posted on or that is being disseminated on the various medias like broadcast media, print media, bana, and even in websites and social media. No, since the social media platforms have assumed the role of news distribution sources, and especially nowadays, acquiring media literacy skills nowadays is very important because we are currently, I don't know if you agree with me, but we are currently living in an era where false information is contaminating our information ecosystem and corrupts most, if not all, the people.
Yes, Ram. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing your insights about media literacy. It is nice to know that we have an overview on what media literacy is, diba? Kasi as users of the internet and the different social media platforms, importante talaga na marunong tayo kung paano i-distinguish ang factual sources from those na full of false information. How about we ask someone, no? The same question that has a lot of information about media literacy and how we were given the privilege to access the media, as well as this guest for today's podcast nga atong makauban karon that has the same aim as us to share her knowledge to others. For us to understand more about media literacy, we will be joined by one of Negros Oriental State University's communication instructor. Please help me welcome Mom Di Jerica.
Having the ability or the skill to navigate media is a very critical and a very powerful skill. This brings us to the topic media literacy. In the 1960s, people were fighting for their freedom of speech, of expression, of the press. And so when this freedom was granted to them, information has been accessible, especially so with the advancement of technology. Information has been very accessible to all types of ages. Even preschoolers have access to media. Imagine how many hours in a day you consume using media. Since a lot of our time or bulk of our time is on media, we have to understand it. It is important that we understand it because, as I've said, we spend long hours in our day using media. So what is media literacy? As the National Association for Media Literacy Educators have defined it, media literacy is the ability or having the ability to access, to evaluate, to analyze, to create or act on information that you see or that you create on media, that you release on media. So when you are a creator, for example, when you are a vlogger or when you do podcast, you have the responsibility to your audience. What kind of information do you like to relate to your audience? You have that responsibility. And when you are the receiver of the information, you also have the responsibility in knowing what information you need and what not. This is very important because a lot of researches and studies have discovered and have found out that many lives of teenagers have been affected negatively by media because not all information that you see on media is true and is good for you. That is why media literacy has been a mandate and has been encouraged in all schools and universities. You have to think through media. You have to be able to identify what information to absorb and what not. Because as I've said in the very beginning, it can either make you or break you. So media literacy, be media literate, know what information to absorb and know what to let go. Be media literate, be wise, and use media as your advantage and not to your disadvantage.
Ayun, thank you so much, Ma'am Dejerica, for that very informative discussion. And we were so grateful no nga. Maraming salamat po for sparing your time na makasama kayo sa aming first episode ng aming ano podcast for this week. It's actually the official launching of our podcast. Now, Ram,
So yes, as I've said a while ago, no, that we actually gathered some responses and some insights from our fellow communicators on what they think is media literacy. Ano nga yung
first
first question, Hazel?
okay, we have our first question here. How much do you know about media literacy? And we have here our first entry from Aki Balasabas. Aki says, media literacy is the ability to access and analyze media messages as well as create using the power of information and
Wow.
communication to make a difference. And most importantly, it helps develop critical thinking skills by strengthening observation and interpretation of media in variety of forms.
Wow. So yeah,
Wow. What a very
I actually
comprehensive.
agree.
Wow.
I believe that, we are living in a dawn of technology wherein information are actually sensationalized. Yeah. In a world where direct information is filtered by sensationalism, hopes, and fabrication, I think we should take stand and make a difference. Especially right now na yung mga, especially those who are, very powerful in the making. Ano talaga, I
So
think
I apologize actually no sa may
okay.
tumatawa.
So, ano yung thoughts mo doon? I mean, sige,
So actually, I
mag-continue
definitely
muna.
agree with
I'll
Aki
just, I'll
Balasabas.
just continue on my take on what Aki said.
Sige,
Yun
sige.
nga, I think it's really important for those, mga media practitioners na, no, it's really crucial for them to always be tactful with the information that they are going to disseminate sa public kasi nga they are shaping the perspective as well as the actions of these people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I actually
How
agree
about
with
you?
Aki Balasabas. You know, the when she said nga media literacy is the ability to access and analyze media messages as well as create using the power of information and communication to make a difference. Now it is very it is very evident na media possesses a vast amount of power that can really change or can really turn the tides within societies, communities, and even the government.
Thank you.
Yes,
And
I
now, oh, okay.
Yes, I agree also kay Aki kasi sinabi niya most importantly it helps develop critical thinking skills by strengthening observation and interpretation of media in variety of forms. So media literacy really helps us mold a better version of ourselves, especially for us kasi 'di ba communicators tayo, knowing media literacy first sa ating mga sarili can help us share better and more specific understanding about media literacy.
Yes. So now let's proceed to our next entry. We have here from Mar, and Mar says, it is the capacity to use the power of information and communication to change the world, including the capacity to access and understand media messages as well as to create, reflect, and act. Wow, big word. Create, reflect, and act. Do you have any thoughts on that?
What are your thoughts ba?
Ano yung masasabi nyo?
I think naubos na kanina.
It actually can really change the world. The information that we acquire sometimes, it could, influence us in different aspects. So yun na nga, as much as possible, we have to be very vigilant in acquiring information because maybe makakaapekto, it could cause negative ripple effects sa
Yeah.
decisions natin in life. So yun na nga, as much as possible, we have to take away ourselves from those mga misleading information. At the same time, maging proactive tayo, 'di ba?
And
So yeah,
also media can be very dangerous, especially when it is weaponized, especially
yeah,
for
yeah.
for
Yes,
those the
yes.
people in power. For those people in power, if they use media, because I actually read this quote one time by a famous American singer songwriter and poet. His name is Jim Morrison, and he actually stated na whoever controls the media controls the mind.
Yes, it's true.
Now let's proceed to our next entry here from Cam Young. Cam Young says, quite well, since I'm a communication student, I've attended few seminars on media literacy.
Wow.
Wow.
Ano,
Share.
nakakatulong talaga yung mga ano 'no, mga seminars, yung mga webinars, like yun na
Yes.
nga lang kung nakikinig ka,
Yes.
alam ko ang daming guilty nito, ang daming guilty nito
Kung pinalagpas lang sa other side
nung tenga,
ng
ayun.
earth, goodbye na.
Problema na yan, problema. Pero yeah, on serious note, it's really beneficial talaga na mag-attend tayo ng mga webinars kasi nga we got the opportunity na, to learn something out from the speakers, di ba?
Mm.
Yes, ate. It can help us
Because
broaden our knowledge din kasi in attending seminars and webinars, right?
yes,
Yeah.
I agree with time.
Now, for our
Yes.
last entry for this question, we have from Bliss, and Bliss says, if I'll rate myself 1 to 10 as to how much I've known about media literacy, I'll probably give myself a 7. I'm still in the process on becoming a media literate. So if I'm going to rate myself naman, kasi hindi naman ako I'm not the type of person naman na like nagpapa-deceive sa mga mga misleading information.
Mga ano,
Ba?
mga
Ano
chismis.
ba? Ano ba?
Chismis.
Like, I think, naman po, like, I am capable naman enough to distinguish what's, fake news and not, diba? So I would say na I'm, 8. I'll rate myself 8. How about you guys?
Yeah. I think I'll rate myself as 7. I have yet to learn pa.
Okay.
Yes, 7 also.
I guess I'm at 8.
8. Wow! Yeah!
Wow.
8.
I wanted
I
to
would
share
say na
this
8
guys.
ako. Kasi nga, I'm working sa sa isang media company tapos hindi ko alam yon. Like, oh my God, di ba? Yeah. Tapos
Yeah.
marami din naman ako, madami din naman ako natutunan from my higher ups tapos like sa mga experiences ko before. So yeah, it actually helps me a lot. Okay, we have
So let's proceed to the next. We actually
Eins.
have the next question. It's Eins. Eins says, I think media literacy is the ability to comprehend anything about the media. So anong thoughts niyo dito?
ability to
Lana.
comprehend anything about the media. Yeah, I think kasi siya, it doesn't just end there. I mean, the moment you receive the information, hindi kasi yun pwede na, yun na yun. Like, yun na yun, okay?
That's
Dapat kasi,
that's actually one of the problems kasi karamihan ng mga Pinoy ngayon na if they receive something, they do not make an effort to review if totoo ba,
fact check. Yeah,
to
fact
check
check.
if credible ba yan.
Oo.
Yun na yun. Yun na yun.
Yun na
I think
yun.
it's really
If they
important to-
receive
Yun na yun.
something,
Yeah.
agad di sila maniwala.
Hindi na sila
Kaya-
nagdidig deeper eh.
Mm.
Oh.
I wanted to share this, guys. Very short lang story na. The reason why I gave myself an 8 earlier is, last 2 years, I have, nag-pop out siya sa aking memories sa Facebook and I didn't know why I shared it nga. Kuan siya, like, ang Facebook na ay ni-notify nga. It was a scam.
Mm.
I questioned myself talaga na, bakit ko ito ginawa? Hindi ko ba binasa ang buong text? Bakit scam pala itong sinare ko? So, something like that. We really need to comprehend, to dig deeper about that information na babasahin natin before we share, before we put.
Yeah. It's really true. It's really true. Kaya nga 'di ba, we have to kaya nga may mga subjects tayo before way back senior high school na natatako yung mga ganito para at least
Yeah.
iwas tayo sa mga
MIL.
para iwas tayo sa mga
Yes,
ganyan.
MIL.
Yes.
Pero yung hindi
Another
nakikinig sa
entry.
klase, good luck na.
Yes, let's proceed to another entry. Ano ba? Another entry from Eric Pakulanang. Eric says, the word literacy usually describes the ability to read and write. Reading literacy and media literacy have a lot in common.
Actually, they do.
Yes, kasi we read the media eh, and we comprehend what's written on the media.
We eventually make our judgment on a certain issue or topic ba.
Yes.
Pero kapag
Now-
kapag magawa ka naman ng judgment, dapat alam mo rin dapat nakapag-review ka na or you've already dig deeper sa topic. Hindi lang receive mo, agad ka na mag-make ng judgment.
Yes, syempre naman.
We
Yes,
have
to
to,
become.
I think we have to like see the both sides of the story.
Uh,
Diba?
Yes, yes, into respect.
so for our next entry, we have, ang ganda ng pangalan niya, Boy Dog.
Boy
sabi,
dog.
Boy dog.
sabi ni Boy Dog, well, it's more like not much and not too much. I'm still learning, make myself well informed about media and information, participate and do access about more facts and knowledge to become a media literate. So parang ako lang no, still learning pa. We still have a lot to learn pa in
Yes,
this
of course.
changing
Yes,
world.
yeah. I
True.
mean, everything is an avenue for learning. So like we shouldn't like limit ourselves from learning a lot of information. Pero yun na nga, we are learning, we're acquiring information, but of course, we have to fact check. We have to be vigilant on the information that we are acquiring. Because sometimes, yun na nga, it could like twist our perception towards things, di ba nga?
Yes.
I can actually remember what my uncle once said that a smart person stops kung ano yung knowledge about the world. A genius goes beyond it.
Hmm.
Wow.
Nice, nice.
So
Now,
next
The
entry
next
is by
entry. Yes, Apple said literacy is a skill that let you comprehend of what you read, especially on social media.
okay, so
Same thoughts
similar
lang, di ba?
similar
Dun
thought,
sa
same thought as well.
yeah, yeah.
And last but not the least, for the first question, we have Gracia. Uy, tita ko. Joke. I have a background knowledge about media literacy because I have this subject way back in senior high. So we've already discussed this, diba?
true.
MIL, oral communication is also one.
Yeah. Mm-mm. And even
Even
now,
in junior high school,
even now,
even in
College.
junior high
Yeah.
school, meron pa rin yan.
like we have this subject. I don't know what was that, pero like sa ano namin, sa I think that was contemporary world, and we were able to tackle about fake news. Yeah, and I think it's really I think it's really important as well na ma-introduce ito sa four corner classroom kasi nga we are acquiring information, never ending
Mm.
information. So yeah.
Yeah, most especially that we are communicators.
Yes, we are communicators din kasi.
Now, let's proceed to our second question. I have here from, what is the second question again?
The second question
Is it
is
easy to be media literate?
Oh,
yes.
wow, what a very deep question. Now we have here from Riri. Riri says, for me, it is not easy at all, especially that fake news is rampant nowadays to all social media platforms. And people are more likely to know the latest chicas and chismes rather than news stories about economy. Sad but true. Yeah.
Uh,
Diba?
Chicas
History is
and
like
chismes.
chismis.
Chicas and chismes. Yeah, I think yun yung sad talaga sa
It's the
mga
sad
tao.
reality.
Yeah, it's really sad na how people are parang okay lang sa kanila na mag-receive ng information without, checking it.
And also, I think uh, sa ano rin, in social media, I think that's what social media platforms should also like improve because nowadays social medias largely reject the affiliated gatekeeper role of fact checking the content that they allow in their sites. Like they have given so much freedom to the people to post anything. Na nowadays, uh, fake news, disinformation, and propaganda has risen.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. Now let's proceed to our second entry for the second question. Yeah, from Mar. Mar says it can empower people to demonstrate and make informed decisions as information and media consumers, as well as to develop into competent information and media message makers and producers in their own right.
Anong thoughts you guys?
Being a media literate can really empower people, no? Kasi we share different information, di ba, that are being disseminated. Na-discuss na rin natin to on the first question and what media literacy means to those people, and the responses that they sent have a point.
yes.
We have here from Kamyang. Kamyang says, given that in this time, with the continuous proliferation of disinformation and fake news in the new media, I think it is difficult, especially to those adults, to be media literate. But if you are guarded enough with knowledge on how to be literate, it won't be too difficult. I would agree on this one. Kasi nga, majority talaga sa mga na-influence ng mga misleading information are those na hindi nga yung yung hindi talaga marunong yung hindi talaga sila overly exposed sa social media. Kasi nga 'di ba, they can just easily click the share button without verifying the information nga nabasa nila, 'di ba?
Yes.
Yes, I definitely agree.
Yes, even spliced videos and like yung for clickbait na articles lang, sinishare nila agad.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
reading
sinishare
the
nila without even
headlines lang.
opening
Really a pain in
the
the
Hindi
kuan.
nila hindi nila
Yeah.
pinipindot yung content, 'di ba? Like
Oo,
spliced
pero
videos din yung cut videos, sinishare lang nila agad kasi maraming engagement from other people.
yeah.
Yes.
Pero kaya nga yun, I think, it's really important talaga to dwell on these things. Hindi lang para sa mga kabataan, pero at least para din dun sa mga sa mga adults out there na wi- maging maging uh, what's that?
Media literate.
Oh, yeah, media literate. We have another entry.
Here's a
So,
diamond. Is that
Diamond.
Diamond.
diamond? I
Okay,
love it.
Diamond says, personally, I think it is easy to be media literate, especially nowadays where majority of the people owns a smartphone or any gadget that helps you connect to the internet. And almost everyone has a social media account. The more you use the media, the more you learn. As long as you know where to access information and analyze information, you are a media literate. Mhm.
Yes, but
which I actually
smart
agree.
talaga.
Oh,
Yes.
we can't hear
Basta
you. We can't
marunong
hear
lang.
you, Raymar. Do you have anything to say? Parang kasi, nalalamon yung gusto mo sabihin sa microphone mo. Can you
Pinatake na yung
put your,
microphone.
can you please, na lang, put your microphone closer to your mouth.
Okay, how about this?
Oh, yeah, you're
Yes.
audible.
Yeah.
So I guess it depends on the person talaga. You know, it's an advantage for us today kasi, di ba? We have smartphones or any gadgets. It depends on the person kasi if she or he will truly use his her gadget in capacity accessing information where or she can learn to be a media literate.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. So
Should we go to the next entry?
The next entry is from Ian Sophies. Ian Sophie says, if you let yourself to be one not taking it for granted, then it is so easy as a piece of a cake. Because there are instances, even if you knew the etiquette of becoming a media literate, but somehow you don't exercise your capability of doing so. To be a media literate, you must put your heart, mind, body, and soul to manipulate and engage with media in proper way. Be responsible and be accountable.
Mm,
So,
exactly. I like I like it when the IN says accountable. Kasi nga, it's really true that we have to take responsibility of our actions.
yes.
'Di ba? We have to
Oo.
take responsible of what we share online. Ano yung na disseminate natin na information from other people. Kasi nga,
Mm-mm.
it
Yes,
could like
because
alter their perspective on things. It could influence them from believing something na hindi naman pala totoo, 'di ba? Because words can be very deceptive. I mean, deceiving.
True.
Deceiving. 'Di
saving,
ba?
yes.
Ang dami kadagat na kalahian.
Daming nauto actually.
Wag na po tayo
Especially nowadays. Especially nowadays na, as I've said nga disinformation continues to, ano pa rin, continues to spread. And as, given the fact that most of the people are already on their phones and social media, and social media doesn't have a parang na nawala ng kanilang role or gatekeeper na parang role, most people are free to just share disinformation. Okay, so let's proceed to our next entry. Is by saan tayo? Eins.
Mm.
Eins
Yes.
says it's very easy. You can be media literate by being able to differentiate fake to factual information and being able to understand the media.
Yes, true. Sa mga responders ng ating fellow communicators, dapat talaga na hindi lang natin kina-comprehend yung information na ina-absorb natin. It should also be given and shared to other people as long as it is
Mhm.
factual and we know how to differentiate fake to factual information, di ba?
Yeah, I agree. And
Same
also,
lang sa iba.
I think it's also our job, no, as student communicators, since this is our field man gyud. I think it's also our job to I wouldn't use the word educate, but parang according to some people, medyo harsh na kuno na siya nga word. So I think it is our job to enlighten the people, to to teach them kung how to be a media literate, since not everyone is, or not all not everyone is ito yung field na kanilang pinipili.
Yes, it should start within ourselves talaga. Next entry is from Eric Pakulanang. Eric says, media
Is
literacy is
this
the
the,
ability.
I'm so sorry. Is this the um continuation of the
The
entries for
second
the second
question,
question?
second question.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Eric says media literacy is the ability to comprehend and critique a variety of forms of communication. Media literacy allows you to identify the influence and meaning behind media messages, whether you're involved in media production or media consumption, whether you're reading a newspaper, watching TV, using a social media platform, playing video games, or engaging with any other forms of media.
Yes, I guess he's referring to the first question that we have.
Oh,
Di mo rin, no?
Yeah,
yeah, same lang sa iba.
yeah, same thoughts.
So next our next entry is by, how do you pronounce his name? Ba? Ison? Ison? Ison?
Ethan Eisen.
Ison says,
I said
Ison? Ison says, as for me, to be a media literate individual, I need to have the qualities such as being observant, analyzing, investigating, and exploring, because in this way, we would know what is right and wrong, or what is true or false information. If you have one of these qualities, then you can be a media literate individual. I definitely agree, no, with what he said. Now you must be observant, you must have the quality, you must be good at analyzing, investigating, and exploring. Now how would you do that? Of course you have to train yourself. You have to, by learning how to become a media literate.
Yes. Next entry coming from Jessica. It is a lifelong process, and to be a media literate, you have to undergo through everything. It will be easy if there's the application to reality. What can you say about this, guys?
Being to be a media literate, it really takes time kasi we have a lot of things na kailangan pa nating i-learn. And yeah, it takes
exactly.
time talaga.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. Parang ano lang siya, parang nagmo-move on ka lang, 'di ba? It takes a
Oo.
lot of process. You have to sit with your feelings, 'di ba? You have to let it out, parang gano'n. In terms of media literate, nga media literate, okay?
Sino yun?
Of
Okay,
course,
okay.
Ano?
Be
of
media
course.
literate.
Being
Yes,
a media
sige.
literate, ano, 'di ba, you'll go through the phase na maloloko ka talaga sa mga information na nakukuha mo online. Tapos somebody would call you out na, "Uy, hindi yan ganyan." Tapos like, oh, doon mo marirealize na, oo nga, 'di ba? Parang gano'n, you will learn your lesson. And parang din yung sa move on mo, by that time na nagmo-move on ka, eventually, marirealize mo yung self-worth mo. 'Di ba?
Ang ganda.
Wow. Personal experience ba yan?
Personal experience, based on personal experience yan, Ivan.
Personal experience yan?
Pinanghuhugutan. Let's move on na.
May
Let's move on.
pinaghuhugutan yan.
Okay,
Actually,
okay, okay.
actually,
We have here from
that's
Jimboy Mapula.
Hindi.
Jimboy said, being a media literate, it's easy though it requires effort and practice to be able to totally literate. Wow.
yes, that's what it said here.
So parang ano rin, parang ano rin, nasa relasyon, no?
Yeah.
You know, para sa relationship, para kuan, para ano, para to make your relationship strong, dapat
It
mag-effort.
requires effort.
It
Yes,
requires
it's a
effort, may
foundation
practice.
kasi.
Teka muna, ano yung i-practice? So, ano, parang
So,
ganun lang.
And also, according to Jojo, it's not as easy as counting money. It's hard as making money. You need to work it out. Through the
Wow,
Wow. Ang
true.
lalim nun, ah.
wow.
very deep.
Parang may gusto ko sabihin pero ayoko.
I kind of agree.
Baka, baka
I
sana
think may
malalaman
pinagdaanan talaga to si Hazel for today.
you need to work it out, you know. Parang sa relasyon din,
Kanina ka pa.
you need to work it
No,
out.
lahat na
Well,
sa
syempre, not everything starts with, syempre, everything starts with ano talaga. And everything starts with, being, uh, it's not easy.
'Di ba nga, pati ba naman sa pagiging media literate, pagtatrabahuin mo, pati tapos sa ano pa, sa love, 'di ba ang dami mo
Ayun,
na ang dami mo na
love na naman.
ang dami mo na nilalaban sa buhay. Tapos like, sa love,
yeah,
so, you know, lalaban na lang tayo dito sa pagiging media literate kasi naman doon sa mga taong hindi naman tayo mahal. Anyway, let's move
love
on.
naman.
Okay. So
Naman.
in short, malukos sa pagmamahal, hindi lang malukos sa mga information.
Yeah, oh my God, you have to be responsible. Ano ba? Ano?
Very
Anyway,
happy.
let's move on. Let's move on na, guys. Ano ba yun? We have the last question na. Oh, we are down to our last question.
So
Finally.
we're
How
actually
is it
down to last 4 questions.
how easy is it to become media literate? Okay, we have here
Yeah.
from Boy Dog again. As an active citizen, I genuinely create and produce media messages to show apprehension the specific qualities of each medium, being careful enough to make informed judgments. So for me, it is easy to become one as long as you are responsible, recognize your bias, engage in smart conversation, and think before you share. That's all. Oh, wow. You know, engage in
Wow.
smart conversation. 'Di ba? Of course, if
We cannot deny the fact that we actually need those. We have to
yeah,
surround ourselves with people who are
oo,
aware of what is going on in of our surroundings. No, hindi lang yung puro ano na lang, puro marites at
same.
saka
Yeah, yeah. I think it's about time as you know, it's
I agree with that.
2023. Oh my God, it's 2023. I think it's about time to yes, again to surround ourselves with people na may substance kasi di yung puro na lang ano, negative energy yung binibigay sa atin. Ano ba? 'Di ba?
Yes.
So we have here as well from Gracia. Gracia says, it's not easy. It takes time to be a media literate because you need to follow specific principles. Mm.
Yeah.
I think the specific principles that this person is actually referring is the same with what Boy Dog said a while ago na you have to be responsible. You have to recognize your bias.
yeah.
And of
Yeah,
course, we
probably.
have to think before we share. Kasi nga, di ba? As what I've said earlier, maging ano tayo, maging responsible gawa natin. Kalat mo, ano ba? Linisin mo yung kalat mo.
We
Bakit
have to
ang galit? Galit na galit si Excel.
Galit ka ba, Chris?
galit na galit mo talaga, T.
Galit.
Dito lahat binubuhos. Anyway, our last
Sige, last and
entry
final
for
answer
our
tayo.
last question. Sige Ram. I'll give the microphone to you to
Sige,
read the
Apple.
entry.
Apple says it is easy. We just need to go with the flow. Especially the world is fast-paced technology nowadays. So I definitely agree. No, it is already here. The new innovations, technology is already here. It has caught up with us. So therefore, we have to deal with it.
Yeah, totoo ngayon, yun na nga yung sinasabi ko kanina na we are living in a dawn of technology wherein we are like exposed to different misleading
Mhm.
information, fabricated information, hoax, 'di ba? So at least us as communicators, media practitioners in the future, we have to take stand and make a difference. Yon.
Yes, sabi nga ng
Good
famous face,
energy.
diba? Sabi ng famous face,
Good.
think before you click.
Think
Yeah.
before you click talaga. That is until now no is kuan. Sino ba talaga yung
Very timely and
come up ng line na yan. Pero yun nga no, we definitely have to be media literate. It is very important talaga for us to know which is wrong, which is right, as what our uh respondents are saying, no? Because nowadays, the disinformation that spreads on social media talaga, yung grabe yung yung mga ang pag-spread ng false information, yung mga disinformation usually makikita ko talaga sa social media. And there are other people then. Well, if you guys are familiar with satirical posts, there are actually people na naniniwala ng
Naniniwala.
satirical
Yeah,
posts.
yeah.
Diba?
Yeah. I
Uh,
think
uh,
Nililiteral
I don't
nila, no?
know. Can you remember the International State College of the Philippines?
yeah.
Diba?
You
I
know what? When you
actually know a lot of kasi marami nung kaibigan ng mga nanay dahil sa swimming. Ang dami na naniniwala na may International School, State College of the Philippines.
you know what, we can really see the downside of that one, even though it's actually giving you entertainment. I mean, us entertainment, but at the same time, you
Mm-mm.
know, you can really
There
see
are
the
people
downside of
mga
that
who,
one. Na ano,
yeah,
kasi nga, yun yung sinasabi mo kanina, na madami talaga ng mga tao na madaling na maniwala, especially those na mga young ones. I mean, once
hindi
young,
lang kay young ones actually, pati yung sa mga na belong sa boomers.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yung mga boomers din, the disinformation that spreads on social media platforms is having real world impacts talaga on how citizens view certain issues, even democratic institutions.
Oo nga. Kaya yun, it's really important that we have to be media literate. And, it won't happen kung di siya magsa-start sa sarili natin. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we should start
So
within
ano no, we
ourselves.
have to hindi na natin to patatagalin. So that ends no our podcast for this week. Once again, pinapaalalahanan po namin ang lahat na maging vigilant po tayo sa lahat ng bagay na nakikita natin online because we are not just putting ourselves in a safer environment here. We are also adopting a critical attitude when we decode media messages regardless of our views and opinions. So, sa lahat ng mga listeners natin sa araw na ito, after hearing all those thoughts that we discussed, after hearing the responses coming from our yung mga fellow communicators din natin, now this is your time to ask yourself, no, are you a media literate person? So, no, of course, sana in the near future, tayo lahat na ang maging media literate na tayo.
Yes, thank you so much, Ram. How incredible this episode is. This is just the beginning of our SidlaKom podcast since this is the first week in celebration of Media Literacy Week. But we have learned so much today, and I know our fellow communicators are glad upon hearing all those information as well as our listeners for today's podcast. We just have tackled and we can truly imagine how engaging they are based on the responses we got. Right, Ate?
Yes, and this launch would not be possible without our dynamic Honorso Society of Student Communicators Council and committees. Thank you so much to our listeners for today. Daghan kayong salamat. And of course, we would also like to commend the presence of our one of our instructors sa communication sa
Communication.
dito, Ma'am
Department.
Erica. Thank you so much for sparing her time, no, for joining us here, and we are here because of you guys.
Yes, thank you so much, Mom Jerica. And to you guys, thank you so much to our listeners too. Thank you so much, everyone. We are immensely grateful for your support and participation. And guys, we are inviting you to please follow us on Facebook at Society of Student Communicators, at TikTok, Norsu_SSC, and we are also available on YouTube. Please subscribe our channel at Society of Student Communicators to keep you guys updated.
So once again, no, I am Biggie Tam Tams.
I'm your college Hazel.
I am your nice reporter, Raymart.
And this is your witty gal, Zalfi.
And for ang final word natin, ang final say natin for today, no? Think critically, click wisely.
Pagmata sa kabuntagon, cellphone dayo na brihon. Scroll like share ang buhaton, pero tinod ko jud ang i-share na information.